G'day, Ben from Melbourne here, and today I'm going to contribute to Rod, the Happy Hippie Vinyl Guys thread for your favourite 12 front people in rock and roll. Of course, as usual, I'm going to make it all Australian artists, and it's going to be people who I've seen before. So obviously there'll be a few big ones which I have to leave out because I've never seen them, it was before my time. So let's start off with one that I'm sure you'll all know, which is Courtney Barnett. And just great front person. She doesn't carry on with histrionics or anything like that. There's this kind of quiet, internal sense of intensity the way she performs. Like there's just bubbling underneath, and there's a focus, and really compelling front person. I love seeing Courtney live, whether she's playing acoustically or with her band. Really great front person, Courtney Barnett. Now next up we're gonna go with, there's another Courtney Barnett, what do you know. Next up we're gonna go with Jenny Brannigan. You may not know that name, but she's from the great electro punk synth new wave analog keyboard loop noise dark awesome outfit. Now she's the opposite of Courtney Barnett, where the intensity's all external. She's like constantly moving and getting up in the face of the audience, and just really great intense performer who gets lost in what she's doing. So yeah, Jenny Brannigan of none. Next up we're gonna go with Eddie Current, Suppression Ring. And of course, talking about their frontman, Brendan Suppression. With his gloves on his hands, manic movements, standing toe-to-toe in the crowd, on the floor with the audience quite often. He's unpredictable. Fronting a band that's like just nailing it to the floor, and so he just complements them perfectly. You never know what's going to happen when you see a Eddie Current show. Great live band, who I don't know if they're going to do anymore, so because Mikey Young's always involved in a million different things. Fingers crossed. Next up, not your traditional front man, but definitely a front man, definitely magnetic. Warren Ellis, of course, of the Dirty Three. Look at him there in all of his glory, apparently with no head. Sounds painful, or looks painful. Yeah, there's a great live photo. That's the sort of thing you get. He's screaming into his violin there. Warren Ellis, whether brutalizing his violin like that or caressing it like a parent to their favorite child. Where the hell did that come from? You just can't take your eyes off him. And of course he obviously plays with Nick Cave now, and he's a great foil, and quite often he will upstage the big Cavester. But and not only the intensity and passion of his playing and the way he performs, the other great part about seeing Warren Ellis live is the stories in between the songs. He's hilarious and tells these great long-winded stories before they go into each song, which apparently is what about each song is about, even though they're all instrumental. Brilliant front man. Next up, we're going with Adelita. Even if Adelita was just a guitar shredder on the side of the stage, you'd be drawn to her because she's just got that charisma to burn. In the Magic Dirt days, she was like a force of nature, who just intense, like vocals, great guitar playing, had that awesome sort of sneer and like one of the great bands to see in the 90s. Saw them just completely blow Boss Hogg off the stage when they opened for them at the Prince of Wales in the 90s. And even as a solo performer, Adele, yeah, it still has it. She's just commands your attention. She's just fantastic. And next we are gonna go with, oh, hang on, same as Courtney, a little bit more magic grit. With Link Meanie of the Meanies. He's in that long line of Iggy influence front people. Yes, there's blood, there's carnage, but all done with Link's sense of humour. Yeah, I've never seen someone cut themselves up on stage and then they go, how's that look? Because they've just written the Meanies across their chest. Whether he's fronting the Meanies or playing drums, you just can't take your eyes off Link. He's just a crazy man, kind of guy. He demands the attention of the crowd, and if he's not getting it, he'll jump into the crowd. I've seen him at the corner before and got down on the ground, bit people on the ankles. So sometimes you want to stand clear when he's performing, but and there's a great old school live shot of him jumping in the air. Has no regard for his body whatsoever. Okay. Next, one of the great ones, of course, Ron Pino of Died Pretty. Let's see if we got, no, it's just a band shot in the middle there of the great Free Dirt album. He might be a small man, but he certainly commands the stage. Yeah, with his impassioned vocals and his shaman style of delivery and moves. Yeah, he's truly a legend of Australian music and Australian front persons. And next, we have Tex Perkins. This man just exudes charisma. Charisma with a capital K. He can go from a smooth croon to like an animalistic roar live. Amazing voice, amazing performer. When he's in the mood, yeah, truly has that dangerous rock and roll feel where you're just unpredictable and you don't know what's going to happen next. I've seen him, and that's like, seen him so many times running the bass solo and yeah, with other projects, and yeah, I love everything he does. He's always great on stage. This is the great live album from the Belly of the Beasts. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I remember seeing him once with the bass and got hit in the head with a drink, and he picked it up. It was a plastic cup, and he's just gone, is that the best you can do? And then just beers rained down on him, and by the end of the show he was bleeding from the front of his head. He was fighting with people, he was fighting the bouncers, he was throwing stuff in the crowd. It was just mayhem, but it was just amazing as well. Yeah, quintessential Australian rock and roll frontman in my opinion. All right, next up, someone who I have seen a lot of times but have not seen in what the live records I have sound like they would have just been intense, and from all reports they're one of the best live Australian bands, and that's Nick Cave, where there he is fronting The Birthday Party, of course. Yeah, back in the day, never got to see them, but have seen Nick Cave in the Bad Seeds many times, and yeah, he's brilliant live. He's always completely in the moment. Yeah. And what I love is you always get something different when Nick Cave comes out, whether it be the style of the show, the mood, the type of venue they choose. He always mixes up, and he's just, you know, if you've seen Nick Cave live, you'll understand what I'm saying. But I think the closest I ever got to seeing a birthday party style performance by Nick Cave. Was on the second tour of Grinderman. It was truly out of control. Yeah, he was in a mood the night I saw him, and he just brought it. Even after having seen him for years, I'd never seen a performance like this. He was kind of scary, screaming his head off. Foldbacks were just about falling into the audience with the force. He was like placing his foot on them, and they were loud. And I've read since that Nick Cave reckons he lost hearing from those Grinderman shows, to give you an idea of how wild and unruly they were. But one of the all-time greats. And next, someone who certainly doesn't dress as snappily as Nick Cave, but he's a ball of energy and incredible live, and that's Peter Garrett from Midnight Oil. Yeah, I've seen them live several times, Midnight Oil, and he's just amazing on stage. He's just frenetic energy with the most unique dancing style you've ever seen. Still great, but I've, you know, seen these are DVDs of Midnight Oil with Saturday Night at the Capitol, and the famous one where they Oils on the Water, where they play in Sydney Harbour, and these are like in the early mid-80s, and they were just a powerhouse, particularly Peter Garrett front of stage, and just bringing it to the audience with so much energy. And they come from this great little tin box set, which is full of DVDs of documentaries, live performances, and CDs of unreleased music. It's called the Overflow tank. Brilliant stuff. Better move along. 2 to go. So, we're going to go with Rob Younger. You might think, well, he's been around as long as anyone, and you never saw Radio Birdman? Well, they did reform. And I saw them, and they were amazing. And I used to go see the New Christ in the 90s. They were also amazing, and band I never thought I'd get to, a performer I never thought I'd get to see live. And yeah, Rob Younger, just amazing, powerful voice, great performer on stage. Actually signed by Rob Younger, that New Christ 7-inch there. Amazing. And then when Radio Birdman reformed, probably getting on to nearly 10 years ago, actually, there he is. And I come out, and Dennis Tech looked cool as you would expect, and Rob come out, and I was like, oh my god, this could go really bad, because he did not look well, and he looked pretty old. But I don't know what it was with Dennis Tech's guitar. Must have given him a jolt in the ass, and he just took off, and his voice was just how it sounds on the records, and how he used to sound in that old live footage, and they were incredible. Truly charismatic, great frontman. And speaking of charismatic, great frontmen, one who just stands there and delivers, and that's Chris Bailey of the Saints. Yeah, was so lucky to have seen the Reformed Saints twice. Once at the All Tomorrow's Parties Festival, which was curated by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and then when they played a show at the Forum. Just incredible. Hated everything he said in between songs, because he just, I'm sorry, I love the Saints and I love his voice, but he just talks so much crap in between songs. But then as soon as he opened his mouth to sing, it was just unbelievable. Just something I never thought I'd get to see. And yeah, the only thing I had to compare it to was in this great Saints CD box set. It's got the 3 albums, and it's got a Live in London show on disc 4, and that's from 1977. And they tear it up, and he sounds fantastic. So yeah, to have finally got to see the great man, and sadly now passed away, was such a treasure. There he is, not giving us stuff as usual, but sounding great. So next, I'm going to do a couple of honourable mentions, and these are people who I never got to see, but I would have loved to have seen, and from all reports and from the footage I've seen, they look fantastic. Of course, you've got to go with the great Stevie Wright fronting the Easy Beats. Sorry, that's reflecting, so I'll put this up. And he's probably the start of great front people in Australia. He wrote the book. And there's a little live shot on the back. You can tell cheeky as hell, full of energy, great voice. Fantastic band, the Easy Beats, if you've never checked them out. And then, of course, the big one, Bon Scott. Put it this way, he held the attention and commanded attention, had charisma and presence. Tell me any other singer who can do that, who's got someone like Angus Young in the band. Sorry, Brian, but you are fantastic, but you can't do it. Angus is definitely the front man when you're around. But Bon, he held his own. He was his own man. He was amazing. Some of the footage I've seen from the Let There Be Rock concert, and there's one from Glasgow, just phenomenal. Just gets out there and rips it up. Would have been incredible. And one who I have seen lots of times, and I cannot not mention this man, even though he's not Australian, because to me, he is the king of rock and roll. He's the godfather of punk. And even though I didn't see him until the early 90s, he blew my mind. So God knows what they would have been like in the day. And that's, of course, the great James Osterberg, Iggy Pop. Unbelievable live performer. I've seen him solo. I saw him with both versions of the Reformed Stooges. Even though he's older, just brings it, just unbelievable, just loses his mind. He's incredible. And the things that I've seen from back in the day, yeah, would have been very scary if you're up the front. Anyway, that's my 12 favourite rock and roll front people. Thanks, bye-bye.